when it comes to Turbo, I'm not giving up because I still believe that hypothetically during this bull run, it could very well go to the price of 50 cents. Now, with that being said, some people may be thinking, what are you talking about, man? Take a look at the price of Turbo. It's having a pullback, all this type of stuff. And even though nothing I say is financial advice nor a guarantee, I understand that, of course, right? Turbo had a big pump, broke a new all-time high, and now it's having a pullback. But it's only expected, really, because when I first got into Turbo, everyone was like, it pumped too much, all this type of stuff. But then what? I kept holding, and then eventually it had a pullback. Everyone's like, yeah, it's done, all this type of stuff. Then again, it was having like random price movements. It was very volatile. Then boom, suddenly, right? KuCoin listing, Binance listing, pumped in a massive way. Now, I've been through this time and time again, not only just when it comes to Turbo, with also, for instance, another meme coin. You take a look at, in the case of Floki, and this is a verifiable fact, by the way, because one of my earliest videos ever was actually on Floki. But even besides that point, when I acquired Floki, at that time, I was like, wow, things are looking so amazing, all this type of stuff. Then what happened? Floki went down over 90%. I was like, oh man, it felt so bad. I was like, ugh, it just kind of felt weird in my stomach, It's kind of like that gut feeling. I was like, wow, this is terrible. And then what happened, right? I felt like giving up because not soon after that, what happened? The Terra Luna crash. Now, the Terra Luna crash also kind of tanked my portfolio at that time because I was a big believer in Luna. Then suddenly that happened. I was like, whoa, man. Floki happened, Luna happened. What is this? But do I have a regret when it comes to, Floki, for instance, right? The only regret I have is actually not scooping up more in the dip because what happened? Ever since that, major crash, Floki did around a 30x. And now I get it. Floki is having, somewhat of a pullback as of right now. But here's the thing. It's still up, by a lot more than when I scooped up on that dip. But I was kind of hesitating. I was kind of like, I thought it was going to keep going lower and lower. And I was like, I did still put more, but then I should have put a lot more in hindsight. Well, the past is the past, but I've learned from those mistakes, which is why, first of all, I'm not saying that, hey, I'm going to go all in right now. I'm not saying that because the price could go a lot lower. We just never know. Because when things pump up by that much, it's only logical, again, that things have a pullback. The journey to the top isn't this straight shot. You know what I mean? It's not like Bitcoin randomly decided to one day pump from the price of $1 all the way to over 60,000 randomly without any pullbacks. No. Multiple bear markets along the way, multiple pullbacks. But again, the general direction is typically upwards. And here's the thing. Now, of course, am I going to deviate from my plan? Am I going to change it? No, because I'm not a panic buyer. I'm not a panic seller. That's the way you take a look at it. Here's the thing. My strategy is going to stay the same no matter what. Dollar cost averaging. So anytime I earn income, I'm acquiring, I'm holding, and I'm just waiting. That's it. It doesn't matter if that month, the price is like popping off like 80%, or let's say the price is dumping like 60, 40%, whatever the case may be. I'm still sticking to my strategy because when I believe in something, I just like to keep it simple. I just like to stay dedicated because I'm not a day trader. I don't swing trade. I don't use leverage. I don't do that. Now, some people do that. They like to pull up a price chart. They never talk about the fundamentals, by the way, and then they draw a random triangle. And then they say, yeah, this, like this. And then they draw like a random like underwear and they say that the price is going to do this. I don't do that. I don't use like 69x leverage or whatever like that. That's just not my style. That's not my vibe. A lot of my friends who've been doing that type of stuff for years, they still haven't gotten it right. So for what? I'm not going to risk that. Now, some people, they could allegedly get it right, but why would I take a chance on that? I'd rather just keep it very simple. Literally, dollar cost averaging, in my opinion, it requires zero skill. Seriously. I mean, here's the thing. Anytime I earn income again, I acquire my favorite projects, I hold, and I just wait. That's it. That requires, again, no skill. It's literally just believing in something and then just thinking more so about the long term. Yeah, sure, the short-term gains may not be impressive, but again, long term, it's a lot safer, at least for me. That's why I do that when it comes to Turbo. That way I don't get overtaken by my emotions. That way I don't panic sell, panic buy. That's just the way I view it. And if my portfolio is down, let's say, right? In this case, when it comes to Turbo, I'm still up. But even besides that point, let's say it's down, I view it as an unrealized loss because the way I view it is that as long as I don't sell, it's actually not a loss. Now, here's the thing. Am I telling anyone to copy me? Absolutely not. I'm not a financial advisor. This is just based off of me, right? I'm just one person, keep in mind. According to Crypto.com research, there's over 600 million crypto owners. So again, I'm just one thing really in this whole space, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? The peak of altcoins, it could still very well take some time because as a worst case scenario, it's been noted that, again, based off of history, usually altcoins, they peak around a year and a half after a Bitcoin halving event. Now, again, this is worst case. History doesn't always repeat itself, but it tends to rhyme. Now, if we take a look at the last Bitcoin halving event, which happened around, 6 months ago at this point, back in April, again, 18 months from then, around a year and a half is October of next year. So that's basically around a year from right now. So when it comes to Turbo, the way you take a look at it is that it still has some time to prove itself. Now, could Turbo peak like in the next 2 months or whatever? We just never know. It could happen a lot sooner. But again, it shows how as a worst case, there's potentially, or should I say hypothetically, still some time there. So I'm not panicking when it comes to Turbo. And relatively speaking, Turbo is still kind of small, compared to like Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, like a Pepe, right? You take a look at, when it comes to Turbo, it's not like this number one meme coin out there. You know what I mean? So it still has room to grow, in my opinion. And also on top of that, a pullback, again, it's only expected. When things, again, pump up by that much, things are usually about to have a pullback in some cases. But yeah, even besides that point, when it comes to Turbo, I still do believe in it because I think it's a very unique meme coin, a meme coin created by AI. It's very unique, very interesting. The logo is very different, very, interesting again when compared to many like dog theme or like cat theme meme coins out there that seem to be sprouting up, by the way. But even besides that point, I do believe that this is so unique, so I don't think it's bad at all. Not to mention, if you take a look at Turbo going to the price of 50 cents, at that point, market cap would be around $33 billion. Now I get it. It's around a 56x from here, or let's say simplicity's sake, it's over a 50x. Some people may think, wow, that's ridiculous, all this type of stuff. But I think we can take a look back in history and see how when it comes to Dogecoin, at one point it reached over $80 billion in market cap. Again, Dogecoin also, you take a look at Shiba Inu, reached around $40 billion in market cap. So it's actually not all that crazy, this market cap. If I'm saying Turbo is going to go to like a $100 billion market cap, then that's insane. That's completely ridiculous. That's just not possible in my opinion. During this bull run, yeah, it's just not realistic. But even besides that point, I think Turbo reaching like a glimpse of like a Shiba Inu or Doge, I think it's already fine. Again, over 50x, I wouldn't complain about that. Even like over like a 10x, really, if you think about it, it's actually already very crazy. Because if, let's say, like I went to sleep and then I had like one car in my garage and then I woke up the next day and there was like 10, that would be crazy. Some people like this think that, oh wow, if something doesn't do like a 100x or whatever like that, it's terrible. But I disagree with that. I think like anything over a 10x is actually very fantastic. So when people like to say that, oh yeah, this is too low, all this type of stuff. Well, here's the thing. Maybe there are meme coins out there that could do like a 1000x from right now. We just never know. Maybe like a super micro cap, like hidden gem, meme coin. Sure, that could happen. But for every, meme coin that does that, right, that goes all the way to the top, quite essentially from a very low point, there's also many others out there, a lot more, that don't make it at all, that never gain that attention, that never gain that momentum, that never gain that hype. So the risk is very high. So when people like to say, why are you so focused on Turbo, man? Focus on this like random meme coin that's like $100,000 market cap. Well, sure, that could pop off. I never know, right? Who would have expected that, right? If let's say it does. But I'm just saying, Turbo is in a unique position where the room for growth still isn't bad, but then the room for downside doesn't seem too terrible either because it's a very established meme coin. The community is very strong, but at the same time, it doesn't have that like crazy risk where the market cap is way too low, if you know what I mean, right? It's kind of like a perfect scenario. Again, room for growth isn't bad, but then the room for downside doesn't feel too bad either because it's not like this, unproven and unbattle-tested type of project, if that makes sense. So that's what I really like about Turbo. It's very well established, or should I say established enough for me to believe in it and still take a chance on it. Now, here's the thing. Some people like to say that, yeah, this bull run's going to be bad, all this type of stuff. Well, I disagree. There's over 600 million crypto owners again, like I mentioned earlier on in the video, according to Crypto.com research, more than ever before in history. You take a look at the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF. I mean, I think this bull run is going to be so fantastic because as the old saying goes, a high tide raises all ships. So if let's say the crypto space starts doing well, I think at that point, it's only fair to assume that Turbo does go along with the ride. So I think the race is far from over when it comes to Turbo. I'm not going to FOMO in later when the price is at 5 cents, like 10 cents. I'm not going to wait for that. As of right now, the way you take a look at it is that Turbo, it's an airplane, but it's still sitting at the airport. I want to get in the airplane, of course, before it takes off. Once it takes off, let's say it goes to the price of like 10 cents, 15 cents, a little bit too little too late, in my opinion. Non-financial advice though, but that's just the way I view it. So that's why I don't want to FOMO later on. I don't need confirmation in order for me to know that Turbo is going to do well. I don't need that. For what, man? I mean, could you imagine if I wait until Turbo goes to the price of 10 cents before I get into it? Could you imagine all the hypothetical gains lost along the way? That's just not my vibe. I don't want to do that. I want to get in early so then, again, when the airplane does take off, I'll be there to catch the flight, so to speak. That's why when it comes to Turbo, I still believe in it, and I'm not giving up, because I think that the whole space still has time to grow. I think that, there's still a lot yet to prove. I get it. Some people like to say that, yeah, again, this meme coin's doing well, all this type of stuff. Well, okay, whatever. But personally for me, I still do believe in Turbo. And again, hypothetically doing over a 50x, I still think is not bad any way I view it. Some people like to, again, think it's caca, but no, I disagree. Turbo has great exposure, has a lot of fans. The community is very strong. So I'm not going to stop believing in it. And also on top of that, at the price of 50 cents during this bull run, wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And feel free to become a channel member if you want to. And by doing so, you can get a prioritized response from me in the comments. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.